Marvin Vettori. Let's talk about this. Best chin in the game right now, right? Am I right or am I wrong right there? At least top three chins. I guess Ngannou is probably number one because I don't think the man has even become the closest to even tad hurt, right? Like never. When Stipe thought he had him hurt, Francis even said in the post-fight presser, he was all like, yeah, he walked forward like he thought he had me hurt or something. I don't know. It was weird, so I just knocked him out. You know what I'm saying? So Marvin Vettori, though, he ate flush head kicks. Luckily, he's a southpaw or else his liver probably would be in critical damage mode right now because Costa was firing body kicks all day long. What do you think about Marvin Vettori's performance, AJ?
Man, really good. I love us standing and trading Vittori, man.
Yeah.
This is awesome to see. And yeah, probably if not one of the best, or not if not the best chin in the game, one of the best, and by far one of the best body like shot takers in the game.
Yeah.
You know, that bread basket is made of iron, bro. That ain't no wicker over there. That's some iron that he has protecting his inner organs. Because Paulo Costa was firing. There was a couple times where he hit him and you could hear like "pow," like a solid smack. Not the smack we're used to hearing, like if you just hit skin, but like a solid thunderous bow, man. It was a crazy fight. Really good fight, actually. A lot better than I was expecting. I was expecting Vettori to come in and wrestle a little bit. Man, he said, fuck that. I'm going to punish this cat. I was, they earned a lot of respect in my book for both of these fighters, to be honest, man. And like I said, Paulo Costa just on a whole nother mental level. I definitely think this dude, he has some serious problems. He needs like a mental coach to get him. Not necessarily. I like the ego he has because you need that in there to be, to be a true warrior. But a little bit of that humble Bushido, like we're talking about, because you need the yin and the yang. You need both sides to be able to be the true, up there upper echelon of fighters. It was crazy, man. And Vettori didn't even flinch when he was getting hit with those kicks, man. That was crazy. He started to not walk through them as much towards the end, for sure. But I mean, how many kicks can you really take? The lesser man would have gone down very fast. So yeah, all credit to both of these fighters, man.
No, absolutely, man. It's funny because I think Bisping made the reference. He says when Costa hits Vettori, he was like, that sound that he makes, he says, you hear that flush on Thai pads. You're not supposed to hear that on the human body. Like, that's not supposed to happen, man. So yeah, Costa was firing away. Vettori, the one thing I will say about him, man, is that he earned a lot of respect from a lot of people and how quickly you go from heel to hero, right? But he said it in the post-fight presser himself. He was like, just how quickly they switched on me, they could switch again. So I really don't care about it. And he shouldn't because Costa just was so much of a heel in this matchup that he made people like Marvin Vettori. Let's not forget, Marvin Vettori was hated, you know what I mean, because of what he did against Israel Adesanya, the trash talk for Kevin Holland, all that, man. Those were the good guys. He was on the tail end. Now he's the good guy. But I'll tell you, I said this in the pre-fight, I've never failed to recognize that Marvin Vettori is a fighter's fighter. He is a game motherfucker. He is a BMF. Give him the belt. Because he doesn't give a fuck. He's at 20 pounds up. I don't give a fuck. You want this? It's funny. They're all like, man, he was saying in the post-fight presser, he was like, Costa says, if you take too much of my purse, I'm out. If you make me cut too much weight, I'm out. Like, he was basically threatening the whole time, like, well, we'll just, both of us get no pay. How about that? Fuck it. You know what I'm saying? Like, he was being, like, trying to have the leverage, being an asshole about it, right? So what does Marvin Vettori do? He was all, and they're asking him about the purse. He was all like, so, you didn't want to, take more from the purse. You didn't want to negotiate and ask for more from his purse. He was like, man, fuck it. He's not even making that much money anyways, man. I don't give a fuck. Like, fuck that. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, that's hilarious right there. Because Marvin Vettori is basically like Paulo Costa, a.k.a. he's basically saying like, this dude's a scrub, man. I'm making more money than he is. I'm taking his little shitty purse, whatever. I got the win. I embarrassed the man. What else can you do? He took his number. He demoralized the man. Back-to-back losses for the first time in the man's career. And, this was a dude who he went and he showed him. He says, you got 20 pounds on me, brother, and you still not able to hurt me in the slightest bit. I'm not going to lie, AJ. Come round 5, Costa was beating the brakes off of Vettori. Come round 5, man. That round 5 was a little interesting. But this is a Marvin Vettori who basically walked through everything. The striking was looking a lot better. But then again, it's easy to look better when you're not fighting Israel Adesanya, right? I mean, I feel like that just goes to show this is a reflection of how good the last style bender truly is, man. Finishes Costa, makes Vettori. I think Vettori landed more like in the first round against Costa, or the first 2 rounds against Costa, than he did in the entire 5 rounds against Adesanya. So we'll just leave that for what it's worth. We're not talking about Izzy right now, but Vettori is 3. 3 of his last 5 have come via decision. His last 5 wins. He is 8-3-1 in the UFC, man, and this is a big win, a much needed win right here, man. Very chalky performance of the night victory. But let's talk about the future of Paulo Costa, AJ. Word on the street, according to Dana White, is that Paulo Costa, Borrachinha, his future lies at 205 pounds. However, Costa says, yeah, I want to stay at 185 for a while, get the belt, and then I'll move up. No big deal, you know. So do we need to hire the same person for Deontay Wilder and Paulo Costa to get them to like accept some losses and have a little respect? I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, man, I think we do, man. Paulo Costa really showed that he's an absolute dirtbag right here. He made it hard. Like, you really suck. Yeah, sure, make it hard for your opponent all day long.
Yeah.
Yeah, that by far, like, make it very difficult then. But if you're making it difficult for the help, fuck you. Like
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, man, you piece of shit out there. And even Dana White said he was like he made it even hard, not only hard for me, but he made it hard for my employees. Like you're
Yeah.
just being just disrespectful to everybody, man. Yeah, get out of here. I love the fact that and a little bit of the media can go a little bit far where they're the people passing back and forth the trash talk, they're
Yeah.
snitching a little bit. I guess it's their job, what
Yeah.
it is what it is. But they were telling Dana White, oh, he just told Megan Levy that he's still in the 185, and Dana White's like, what?
Yeah.
I guess we'll see about this. Like, you going against Uncle Dana. Yeah, Paulo Costa is going to be fighting at 205 from now on.
Yeah.
He even said it. He was like, we tell them where to fight. That's what it is.
Well, that's the thing, man, and that's the thing that it's like it's the how would you say, open secret in MMA, in the UFC, is that it's a dictatorship, bro. You know what I mean? This isn't boxing where you have your promoter and your negotiator. It's Dana White, Sean Shelby, Mick Maynard. They will tell you where you're fighting at, who you're fighting against. You have no say in this, or else you can get the fuck out. And that's basically how they look at it, because the product, like I said time and time again, is the UFC. They say, what is the event name? UFC Vegas 41. Then you get Costa versus Vettori. Like, you can almost not name it at all and just be like, oh, UFC Vegas 41, and people will tune in just because, oh, UFC card? Okay, awesome. You know what I mean? So I'm not trying to disrespect the fighters here, but I'm saying if we're being logical, if we're being realistic about this, we should understand that the value comes in the promotion, which is why you have people who are like begging on Dana White Contender Series, please pick me. You know what I mean? It's damn near like how would you say? It's like some high school fucking pick me. I don't want to be picked last type shit. You know, it's kind of like that, man. And it sucks that it has to be that way. But because there's no union, because MMA is such a new sport relatively compared to other sports, man, this is just how it is for right now. There's very little control from the fighters unless you're Conor McGregor, right? The Diaz brothers or whatever, something like that, where you're bringing in so much money. So many people are buying your pay-per-views. But with that being said, man, Paulo Costa, this is the last thing that I want to talk about regarding this fighter, today at least, AJ. Where does a man go who was on top of the world, a future champion, destroying everybody, who's 12-0 on top of the world, to 12-2, right? Or I guess 13-1, 13-2, right? 13-2, back-to-back losses. You get finished by Adesanya. You lose a decision to Vettori, which could be more demoralizing because there was nothing you could do. You dispute the loss. He says, yeah, I think I won the fight. And it's like, on whose scorecard, first off? But anyways, where do we go with a man like this, man? Mentally, I just think that, like, even at 205, if you cannot accept these losses, this is going to be a very tragic turn to what was a very bright career for Paulo Costa. What do you think?
I think the biggest thing that Paulo Costa needs to do is get away from his own camp. He
Yeah.
fights out of his own Barrachinia camp and all that stuff. He needs to get the yes men away from him and get some real deal training for some real deal killers out there.
Yeah.
Get some people who are going to teach him no. Teach him, he's right now he's looking like a spoiled child that he's having his bottle taken away from, where the mom just keeps, babying him. Like, he needs to stop getting babied and realize this is a sport of, absolute savagery, and get things going, man. He needs to not be the one who's in charge of everything and actually needs to take over. And I do think both mindsets are good. You need to be the killer in there. You need to be the top dog, but you also need to be humble and be able to have things going for you both ways, man. It's crazy to see that, like I said, he's fighting out of his own camp and everyone's just a yes man to him. And the fact that he even thought that, one, he can have the ref not take a point away from him, as well as think he won the fight and by any means. And, he went back to his corner and they're like, no, you're winning, you're doing it. Bro, that's just a bad look. Like I said, he looks like a crying, spoiled kid. Bad look for him. I think he needs to just get away from all the stuff he's doing now, whether it's in 185 or 205. I think he's going to be fighting out at 205. But regardless, I think the camp needs to change. The mentality needs to change. It needs a mental coach to teach him, bro. It's a loss is fine. A loss is what it is. We all lose in something, but it's about how you handle the loss, turning it into a lesson and growing from that and not letting it affect you. Because if he keeps the same mindset and the same aspects he has going right now, it's just going to be more L's to come, and it's going to be a very big spiral downward going forward, man. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I think that he needs to follow the approach of, who was it? Was it Winklejohn? I think it might have been Winklejohn. who was like, yeah, John Jones, you can't come back to, you know what I mean? You can't come back to Jackson Wink, you know what I mean? I'm sorry, dude. Until you get your drinking shit together and you fix all your problems, like, you can't come back. And I think he needs somebody to step up like that for him. Unfortunately, even to this day, AJ, even though therapy and seeking treatment for mental health is so much more destigmatized than it was 10 years ago, you know what I mean? Even 5 years ago, it's still a pretty big stigma. And I think a lot of people do feel weak mentally or physically if they have to go get help because they are somewhat broken. But guess what? We are all broken. We are all flawed. We all have issues, and we all need to get the help that we need. And it should be unabashed, right? It should be unapologetic. You should say, fuck it, I need to go get help, and I'm man enough to go and seek that out. To me, that's more cojones, is to seek it out as opposed to I never will, and I will bash it and I will downplay it because I'm too embarrassed to get it. Oftentimes, you often hear people, right, who are going to talk shit on something. Why do they talk shit about it? Because they're into it secretly, but they don't think it's cool or whatnot, so they need to look cool. So listen, man, at the end of the day, we've talked a lot about Paulo Costa. This was a huge win for Marvin Vettori. I still feel the same. Sentiment's still the same. He's still in the Derek Brunson camp for me. You know what I mean? Big win. I appreciate it. This was a big test. We needed to see it. And it is clear because Marvin Vettori said, he said, yeah, me and Izzy are going to probably fight 3, 4, 5 times by the time it's all said and done. Yeah, I don't know about that. I'll just leave it at that. We'll see. I'll leave it up for future interpretation, but we'll leave it at that. All right, AJ.